Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Cover to Cover, the series where we go on the search to find the best independent bookshop in the UK. Today we are visiting the Yellow Lighted Bookshop in Tetbury. This actually has two bases, one in Nailsworth and one in Tetbury, which is the main one and the one that we are visiting today. This bookshop looks super cosy and wholesome, lots of little crevices and corners with all the books in, and I am so excited to explore it. It also has such a lovely origin story behind the naming of it. Its name comes from a book of the same name by an author called Lewis Busby, who wrote about why bookshops are socially, culturally and economically important. That book was inspired by a Van Gogh painting where you could see yellow light pouring from the side of a bookshop onto the street below, and I just think that's so beautiful. So that's where we're heading today. I'm really excited. Of course, I have got my National Book Tokens gift card with me today. National Book Tokens are the sponsor for this series. National Book Tokens gift cards can be spent in bookshops across the UK and Ireland, from WH Smith to Waterstones. They can also be spent in hundreds of indies across the country as well, including the Yellow Lighted Bookshop. I have got a personalised National Book Tokens gift card today. It has my name on it. It's very fancy. Let's go buy a bunch of books and visit the Yellow Lighted Bookshop. The Yellow Lighted Bookshop certainly stayed true to its name, with the warm yellow glow of the fairy lights being the first thing I saw. The little details in this bookshop make it feel like a treasure trove of fiction. The atmosphere immediately feels friendly and has the vibe of a traditional style wholesome store. It felt calming and intriguing, somewhere I wanted to explore. It's all on one floor with space to weave around the tables and shelves freely, and there's a sofa for browsing your book purchases. It's the kind of sofa you quite literally fall into and don't want to get back up from. I liked the open plan layout with fiction and non-fiction in clear sections and a fun area for the children and YA books. And again, the sofa just made the space feel even more welcoming. Give me plants, fairy lights and seating in a bookshop and I am a happy gal. For a small bookshop, the book selection was really great. You can see the care that goes into picking which books are on these shelves. I think that's what I love so much about indie bookshops. You know that all of those books have been hand-picked to be there. I saw quite a few books that pulled me in that I'd never heard of before. I loved the table sections with a mix of popular and more niche books for easy browsing. As for bookseller recommendations, we accidentally went with a yellow theme, which I promise wasn't on purpose but was very on brand for both me and this bookshop. The bookseller gave me some really great options to pick from, mostly books I'd never heard of, which was a win for me. I know it's always quite difficult to give a recommendation to someone you've just met, especially when you have different tastes, so I really appreciated the lovely bookseller chatting through options with me and finding the perfect book that I'll be reading in this vlog. Overall, this was such a lovely store. I had a really great time visiting. It was so welcoming, friendly, cozy and wholesome, and I happily spent my afternoon here. I got books. Let's see what they are. I got 4 books at the Yellow Lighted Bookshop, one of which I'm especially excited about. I've never heard of it before. It's compared itself to the Durrells, or actually one of the reviews on the back of it has compared it to the Durrells, which is one of my favourite TV shows. Very wholesome, very lovely, very much summer vibes, which is what I'm after at the moment. And that book is Welcome to Glorious Tuga by Francesca Segal. Segal? Let me move this out of the way. Here's that book. Doesn't just give off immediately all the summer vibes. This was on a table and I don't think I'd have seen it or like picked it off the shelves necessarily if it hadn't have been face out, because it was the little tortoise on the front there that got me intrigued. But it just sounds so perfect. It sounds really chill, calm, wholesome vibes, which I think is what I want for a summer read. So it's set on a tropical paradise where secrets don't stay hidden for long. It's following zoologist Charlotte Walker, who has taken up a fellowship on the tiny remote island of Tuga de Oro to study the endangered gold coin tortoises in their jungle interior. She can claim the best of reasons for this year overseas. What better motivation to save species, but the reality is more complex. For Charlotte has a secret that connects her to Tuga and has finally determined to solve the mystery that has dominated her life. But she will have little time for any of her declared or covert investigations. Charlotte soon discovers that not only do Tuga's tortoises need attention, but so do the island's dogs and monkeys, not to mention the islanders themselves, determined to win Charlotte over with the endless deliveries of cake until she relents and becomes vet to all their animals. I just think it sounds so nice. It says that it celebrates a fictional island and the warm-hearted families who live there. Enchanting and uplifting, very funny. This is a novel about love, belonging, and what it means to come home. I think this sounds great. I think the comparison to the Durrells sounds from the blurb like it's going to be spot on. I just just love that show so much. Some of the other reviews on the back say it's so uplifting, heartwarming, funny, feels as if it was written specifically to give comfort. A gorgeous book in which everything has been brilliantly and thoroughly imagined. I didn't want to go home. I just think this sounds great, so obviously I picked this one up. I also finally picked up The Ministry of Time by Callie-Anne Bradley. I have seen this one about a lot and have intended to pick up a copy for a while now. My mum wants to read this as well, so I said that I would get a copy and we could both read it, not at the same time, but you know, like, I could read it, then I could give her my copy and she can read it. You know, that. Don't know why I can't find words today. This is a time travel book. I think there's an element of a romance, and I don't really know much more than that. The tagline of the blurb says, "A boy meets a girl, the past meets the future, a finger meets a trigger, the beginning meets the end, England is forever, England must fall." In the near future, a disaffected civil servant is offered a lucrative job in a mysterious new government ministry, gathering expats from across history to test the limits of time travel. Her role is to work as a bridge, living with, assisting and monitoring the expat known as 1847. Commander Graham Gore. As far as history is concerned, Commander Gore died on St. John... As far as history is concerned, Commander Gore died on Sir John Franklin's doomed expedition to the Arctic, so he's a little disorientated to find himself alive and surrounded by outlandish concepts such as washing machine, Spotify, and the collapse of the British Empire. With an appetite for discovery and a 7-a-day cigarette habit, he soon adjusts, and during a long, sultry summer, he and his bridge move from the awkwardness to genuine friendship to something more. But as the true shape of the project that brought them together begins to emerge, Gore and the bridge are forced to confront their past choices and imagined futures. Can love triumph over the structures and histories that have shaped them? And how do you defy history when history is living in your house? I just think that sounds interesting. Doesn't it? Doesn't it sound cool? What do the reviews say for this? David Nichols says, smart and affecting, full of ideas, plus that slow-burning love story. It's a wonderful debut. Joanna Quinn says, your next crush is a long-dead Arctic explorer. And the Sunday Times say, a thrilling, time-travelling romance. I think it sounds good. Blending wit and wonder, says the Observer. I thought it sounded good. I picked up a copy. This was one for my wish list, The Great Goddess by Meg Rosoff. Can I just put... No, wait, it's not called that. The Great Godden. The Great Godden by Meg Rosoff. Can I just point out how friggin' massive the text in this book is? Like, it's huge, and it also doesn't take up a full page. I mean, obviously that's the end of a chapter. Hang on. Like, right? The size of this font is more like a middle grade, but this is definitely not a middle grade. It's a YA. So the blurb for this one, this is the story of one family, one dreamy summer, the summer where everything changes. In a sun-drenched house by the sea, teenage brothers and sisters and older cousins fill the golden days with wine and games and planning a wedding. Enter the Goddens, irresistible, charming Kit and surly, silent Hugo. Suddenly there's a serpent in paradise and the consequences will be devastating. I wanted something that was kind of coming-of-age summer vibes, and this definitely, even just the cover, gives that. So I wanted to pick this up. It was on my wish list. I saw it. I bought it. And finally, the book I will be reading for this vlog is Hot Milk by Deborah Levy. I hate this title. I do not like milk. I know. So the idea of warm milk? No, I don't want that in my brain. I can't even tell you what this is about. I have started it. I'm about 60 pages in. I'm hella intrigued, but the thing that won me over for this was the complete vagueness of the blurb and the fact that the blurb is actually just the first paragraph of the book. Today I dropped my laptop on the concrete floor of a bar built on the beach. My laptop has all my life in it and knows more about me than anyone else. So what I'm saying is that if that's broken, so am I. I just thought that was interesting. I thought maybe there might be conversations about our relationships with technology in this and how so much of our lives are on technology. It hasn't been about that at all. It's I don't even know. It's about a woman who has come to Spain with her mum who has an illness that no one's really been able to treat or diagnose. So they've come to Spain to see a doctor that is meant to be able to help them. And it's all very bizarre. I think one of the reviews said it's like a feverish dream. Oh, a feverish coming of age novel, says the Daily Telegraph. I swear one of them said it was like a fever dream type of thing as well. It does feel a little bit like a fever dream. It's kind of bizarre. The Guardian says it's hypnotic, and I would say that's probably just about right. It's really strange. It feels like, right, okay, this is a stretch. You know Spirited Away, which is a film that freaks me out so much. Like, I don't like that film. It scares me. Not in like a kind of horrifying way, but it just, the concept of it, the pigs, the parents being pigs, and the whole element of it, just, it feels like a really bad dream, you know, when you're ill and you've got a fever dream, you know, it feels like a fever dream. And the bizarreness of which the sequence of events happens, like you could just open a door and there would be such a weird scene in front of you. It feels a little bit like what this is. This isn't a fantasy, it's just bizarre and strange. And the way that the characters are talking to each other is so weird. It does feel like they're talking like in a dream, where it's dialogue and it is genuine exchanging of words, but it's said in such a weird way that it's like your brain come up with it in the middle of the night. It's also very matter-of-fact, which I quite enjoy in books at the moment. I think it's telling you how it is. It's very straight, it's not being too flowery, it's being direct and to the point, but at the same time I don't really know what the point is. So I'm very intrigued by this. This was the bookseller recommendation as well. Apparently lots of people have been enjoying this at the moment. I'll let you know my thoughts on this at the end of the vlog. I'm sure it'll continue to be strange. I'm interested to know where it's going, because from the blurb I have no idea what the plot is. I have a little bit more of an idea what the plot is now, but I don't really know what like the big crux of it is, or if it's just going to kind of be a slow-paced, like more of an observational journey of a novel as opposed to something that's got like a big plot point going on, which is fine because I'm enjoying the journey. We'll see how I fare after another like 150 or so pages I think I have left. It's quite short, so I will let you know my feelings when I finished it. Okay, hi, I finished this book and it was really bloody strange. This felt a little bit like a fever dream, as I think I've already said. It was about a woman's relationship with herself, figuring out what she wants to do in life, her relationship with her mum, with her dad, with other people that pop into her life, and just, I don't really know, to be honest, what the whole point of this was. I feel like it went over my head a little bit. It was initially following this woman and her mum who went over to Spain to get special treatment for her mum who was having some undiagnosed issues with her legs and her feet. That continues to be a theme throughout the whole thing, but the interactions around that part of the storyline are so strange. The doctor we meet and everyone around this kind of theme of what's happening with her mum, the dialogue is so weird. In fact, the whole dialogue in the whole book is weird. It's like nothing you would actually speak to another human and say. But at the same time, I think that's very deliberate. It's very weirdly jarring and stilted dialogue, like badly scripted almost, but in a purposeful way. I just am not really clicking what the purpose was. It just felt really weird, the whole thing. It felt very observational, like I was looking in and was like, what am I actually looking at here? And I'm still not really sure. I really can't settle on how I found this book. I think the atmosphere was good and the writing was good. I liked the descriptions and it didn't feel like it was too flowery, but I think there was clearly meant to be some kind of further purpose to this. It was very character-centric over plot-centric. I do prefer plot-centric novels. I don't dislike character-centric ones, I just prefer plot-centric, and this definitely was heavily character-centric, but I feel like there was just stuff going on that was just going over my head, and I think the more and more I read and the more I progress in life, the more I just want to read stuff that is really gripping and entertaining and has those kind of plot hooks. And whilst occasionally I do go for more of a character-focused, people-focused book, in fact, I still like heavily character-focused books over plot-focused books, but like I'll occasionally pick more of like a people watching type of slow paced novel, and this was that. I just don't think this one quite clicked with me. I think maybe if I'd have known what it was going into it, I don't know if I would have still picked it up, I'm not sure. The blurb is literally just the first line of the book, so you really go in knowing very little, and I was kind of basing it on the reviews. I do just feel like I missed something, because the reviews are saying that everyone should read this book. It was hypnotic, gorgeous. I mean, it was definitely very prettily written. I feel like it's gone over my head a little bit. This was Hot Milk. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I enjoyed my trip very much to the Yellow Lighted Bookshop, and if you want to find out anything about National Book Tokens, there is a link down below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will see you in the next one.